let's get started into the Snowflake demo class. Yeah, the prerequisites for Snowflake is like the prerequisite for Snowflake is nothing. If we don't have any background related to Snowflake or any database or any SQL language, it's okay. But if you do have already a knowledge of SQL, structured query language, then it will be good. Add-on benefit for learning the Snowflake. So people who don't have the SQL language knowledge, we are going to teach that as a first step in our training module. Like 4 to 5 classes will be there, so we will discuss in detail about the topics which are required to Snowflake, because again SQL is a ocean, so I cannot teach all the topics which are available in the SQL. So whatever the content is required to learn the Snowflake, all those things will be learned in our SQL classes. So first 4 to 5 classes. So I'll start with the topic of SQL basics. So we'll just see, understand what is data warehouse, what is analytical, what is transactional, OLTP, OLAP. So all the data warehousing concepts we will discuss in detail in this basics class, along with the commands. So these are the roots for SQL: DDL, DQL, DML, DCL. So these are the commands which we have set of commands again segregated. So we will see in detail what is DDL: to create any object, to drop any object, to delete any data, to update the data, to insert the data, or to retrieve the data, to control the data. We do require these commands. So if we learn this DDL, DQL, DML, we can handle any type of database without any issue. So these are the roots for SQL, not for the Snowflake. This is for SQL. And next, join concept. So anyone, we might have learned SQL through YouTube or somewhere, but we got stuck in the joins concepts. We will not understand very clearly what is the join, why we are going to join, what type of things to require for a join, and what is inner join, outer joins, full joins. Everything we will see in detail with the representation, like each and every step what happens. Inner join, it's a matching of records, but how these matching of records are coming, everything we'll see in detail in this join concept. And functions, so we do require this primary key, foreign key relationships, and some basic functions are required. So that also we will see in the SQL functions. So again, SQL functions, it's a very vast topic, but I'm not going to teach everything. Whatever the basic things are required, that we will discuss in the SQL function. So these are the 3 topics which require 4 to 5 classes. First, we'll cover all these things so that you will have some knowledge on the SQL, and it is very easy to Snowflake. Okay, to learn this SQL, should I install any software or any IDE is required? Nothing. As we are learning Snowflake, we will just use the Snowflake itself to learn these SQL concepts. It will be easy to convert to Snowflake learning also. So that's the reason no other software is required. Just Snowflake itself alone we can learn about this SQL things also. So these are the first starting point. And next, we'll, after completion of the SQL classes, we'll just jump to the introduction and history of the Snowflake. So how the Snowflake has been evaluated, from what are the generations we do have to come. Now currently we are in Snowflake, so what are the back generations which we have seen some challenges, what are those challenges, how we overcome, that we will see in the introduction and history of the class. Next, self-registration. So these will be explained before starting the SQL classes only, because we want to learn SQL. So that's the reason how we can self-registration of Snowflake, and should we pay cost. We have a trial account. We can take that for 30 days and we can complete. Let's say your trial account is completed. Again, you can take the new trial account with the same email ID. There is no issue. So you can take a trial account with your Snowflake, with your personal email ID. So that we will see how to do self registration, which cloud we have to select, which edition we have to select, everything we'll see in the self-registration thing. And Snowflake UI. So Snowflake UI, we do has given provision to use multiple UIs. So one we can use as one is the Snow site, Snow SQL. So first Snow SQL we have separate class for that. Where at the time we will just see that UI classic console Snow site, which we will be using. I'll show both how it looks like classic console and Snow site, but we are about to teach all the classes in Snow site itself, because slowly classic console is going to decommission process. It will be a constant one. So that's the reason I'll explain all the topics through Snow site UI only. So this is the Snowflake UI part. And architecture interview, the basic question will be explain about the Snowflake architecture. So we'll see in detail how Snowflake architecture is, how it is independent from each layer, how many types of layers are there, how it has shared disk architecture. Everything we'll see in this Snowflake UI
Lahari,
class.
your voice is breaking.
And uh,
Yes.
is it for all?
Yeah, for me also.
Yeah, for me also.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay.
breaking. Yeah.
I am not sure. Okay, let me. I hope you are able to see my screen also.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So yes, I mean I'll just repeating from Snowflake architecture. So here the Snowflake architecture in the sense like
Can you repeat from SQL basics?
okay,
Yeah, from there your voice
yeah,
is not clear.
that is the first point of okay, fine. SQL basics, like for learning Snowflake, the prerequisite is nothing, but if you know SQL, it will be an add-on benefit. If you don't know SQL also, then no issues. Like we will cover in this training module as a first part. So first 4 to 5 days we will cover all the Snowflake, sorry, SQL basics which are required to Snowflake, not completely the SQL, because it is like a big thing. We cannot teach all everything in a 4 to 5 classes. Only the topics which are required to learn Snowflake, that we will be discussing in our training module. So here first of all SQL basics, all the data warehousing concepts. What is data warehouse, analytical, transactional, OLTP, OLAP. So all these we will discuss in detail in the data warehousing concepts class. And next, the commands, DDL commands, DQL commands, DML, DCL. So these are the commands required to build a database, which in turn data warehouse. So these are the roots for learning SQL topics, SQL technology. So now we will discuss in detail how to create and how to manage the data, how to control the data, how to retrieve the data. Everything we'll discuss in this class. And next, SQL join concepts. So we will see in detail explanation what is join, what type of things are required to do to perform a join. Is it a common key, or what things are required to perform a join, and types of joins, inner joins, outer joins, like cross joins, self joins. What are these things and how we will perform? So only like providing the result, inner means matching records and left means matching and unmatching records from left table, that we will not see in detail at each step. To get the output, what are the steps are there, how it will be performed at the back end, will show in a representation form, so that it will be very clear when you are performing joins tomorrow. It will be very easy to do with that activity. So that is join concepts and functions. So we have primary key, foreign key, all these relationships. Anyway in Snowflake it is not mandatory, but we will understand what is primary key, foreign key, everything, and including with the functions. So basic functions which are required for starting the Snowflake, that we will discuss in our SQL classes. So these will take 4 to 5 classes. First week we will complete all these things. Next, After completion of the SQL classes, we'll just go to the Snowflake topics from the theoretical to practical. So first 2 to 3 classes will be completely theoretical in Snowflake training, but later on when we are discussing about the objects, then it will be both theory and practical. So first of all, introduction and history. So how the evolution of Snowflake has happened. Before Snowflake, what are the generations are there and what are the challenges we faced. Now are we overcoming in Snowflake or not. So that type of information we'll see in the introduction and history class. Next, self registration. This will be taken as a first step before SQL classes, because all our SQL topics will be discussed or practiced in a Snowflake itself. We don't require any other tool to learn SQL, because anyway we want to learn Snowflake, right? So the same Snowflake we will use and start designing or operation joins, everything we will do in the Snowflake itself. So for that reason, we will take self registration. So here it's nothing, like we will just take a Snowflake account, which is a charge free. There is no charge, because Snowflake is providing a trial account for a month, and we can use that. And if your trial account is expired after a month or credits has been consumed, then you have to take a one more trial account with the same email ID. There is no issue. So n number of trial accounts can be taken with a single email ID. There is no issue. That we will see how to do that. Next, Snowflake UI. So in Snowflake, we have multiple UIs like Classic Console, Snowsite, SnowSQL. Like this, we have different UIs which where we can execute or do all our operations. But we have different flavors. We'll see why those many UIs are there. SnowSQL, anyway, we have a separate concept, separate topic we do have. So at that time, I'll show you how to manage with SnowSQL. And before that, Classic Console and Snowsite, I'll show you how both will be looking different and what are the things are there. But we will learn all our training in the Snowsite UI only, because slowly Classic Console UI gets decommissioned from Snowflake itself. So only one snow UI will be Snowsite will be there. So that we will, I mean, that's the reason I'll just explain all the modules in the Snowsite UI only. Next, Snowflake architecture. So what are the layers, how many layers of architecture are there, how they are dependent or independent each other, or how they are acting as a shared nothing or shared disk architecture. In detail, we'll see in the Snowflake architecture class. So here, to provide the compute resources for performing DML operations, we do require virtual warehouse. So that we'll see how to create virtual warehouse. To create virtual warehouse, what are the considerations? What type of policies are there? What type of, how many modes are there? In detail explanation about each mode, that we will see in the virtual warehouse class. So from here onwards, from virtual warehouse onwards, it will be both theoretical and practical, everything. So after creating a virtual warehouse, we are good to start our main topics in Snowflake. That is about the hierarchy, how Snowflake hierarchy has been designed. First, it will start with database, schema, under schema, tables, views, and the rest of the objects will be there. So that container hierarchy we will discuss, and databases, schemas, tables, everything how we will create, everything we'll see. And later point, like we'll see in detail explanation about the tables. So how many types of tables are there, what is the each criteria, like each table criteria usage, when we will use those type of tables, like we have temporary and permanent tables. So how that will be used, everything we'll see here. And along with this, like we'll see how to create the constraints on these tables: not null constraint, primary key constraint, unique key constraint, foreign key constraint. How we will do for these tables, we'll see in this container, databases, schema, and tables class. Next, Snowflake is a data warehousing technology, even though it can handle some part of ETL. I'm not saying complete ETL can be handled through by Snowflake. No, some part, basic loading of the data can be done through Snowflake through UI. That we will see how we can do. So here, I will show as Snowflake can process the data of structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. We will see how a structured file can be processed. That means from your local, how you can upload the data into the Snowflake table through Snowflake UI without any ETL tool. How can we do that? We'll see. And also the JSON data. So JSON and Paraquet is the are the semi-structured files. So how we can upload the semi-structured data into the Snowflake table, and how to convert that semi-structured data into structured data in the form of rows and columns. How can we do? We will see in this file loading through UI. So one is CSV file and the other one is JSON and Paraquet. So these are the three files we will be loading through Snowflake UI itself. Next, Snowflake micro partitions. So this is very important topic. Like if we understand this topic, the rest 4 to 5 topics are will be clear. Otherwise, we'll get confused. So what is micro partition here? So whenever we load the data into the Snowflake table, automatically Snowflake uses algorithms and generates micro partitions. So that in detail explanation about that micro partitions we'll see, and how to create, or we are not going to create. So what type of creation will be there? Everything we'll see in the Snowflake micro partitions concept. So this is like completely theory. Nothing it is visible in the Snowflake or anywhere. But the thing is, we need to understand how it is generating the micro partitions. If we understand that, then the rest of the topics will be very clear for us. So here we'll see in that data cloning. So we know in any data warehouse or database, we have to, sometimes we do require backing up of the data for any production or any issues. We will back up the data. So there it will charge some amount. Whatever data you are backing up, we have to pay that amount also. But in Snowflake, it's a free of cost. So data cloning in the sense, we will clone the data, we will back up the data, but with zero cost, because it's a virtual copy, not the physical copy of the backup. So that how it will reference the data, that again interlinked with the Snowflake micro partitions. So if we understand that this data cloning, how it is bringing the virtual data on the fly, that we'll see in the data cloning concept. So this will also be called as a zero copy cloning, because we are not charging anything. It's a free of cost. We will say it as a zero copy cloning. Next, time travel feature. So this is one of the unique feature available in Snowflake. So you can travel back few days back and see what is the data on that day in my table. So let's say your table is truncate and load, and you want to see 10 days what is the data in my table. So if you have applied the time travel on your table, then you can easily go back to 10 days back and see the data. But here also we have limitations, like we can go back only 90 days. That concepts are there. We'll see in detail how to apply the time travel on a table or on a database, on a schema, how we can apply and how we will retrieve, how many types of methods are there to retrieve the data. Everything we'll see. And along with this time travel, we have a fail safe concept. So that also we'll see in detail how this fail safe goes going to work. Do we need to provide anything for the fail safe? Everything we'll see in the time travel feature class. Next, role hierarchy. So as a Snowflake person who has learned Snowflake technology, they have to handle development, DBA, and production support. So all these three things can be handled by a single Snowflake person. So whatever the topics until now we have discussed, this is purely for developer. And this particular concept, role hierarchy, so this is the concept of DBA, how to create users, how to create roles, how to manage the roles, how to assign the roles to the users. So everything we'll see. So it's a kind of DBA work, database administrators work. So that we'll see in the Snowflake role hierarchy concept. Next, data share and reader account. So this is like, again, if you want to share the data with high security and without any SFTP path or any ETL tool to the external vendor or internal people, we can use this option called data sharing. So that data sharing, if the external vendor doesn't have any Snowflake account, so we can create reader accounts, only a read access on the objects, and they can use the reader accounts. They can do whatever the data, they can see the data, whatever the objects we have shared through data share option. So that we will see what are the limitations are there, how we can do the create the data share, how to create the reader account, how to share, give the in access to the reader account, how to set up the reader account. Everything we'll see in the data share and reader account concept. Next, views. So if we already have a background of SQL, then we might have known the views, the same concept, but additional thing is, like here we can create secure and non-secure views. So secure will provide the data at row level security, those are secure views. And non-secure views, which doesn't have row level security, a normal view. So again we have materialized views, non-materialized views. So what are the differences between these, those we will see in detail about the views here. Here the Snowflake SnowSQL installation. So as I already mentioned, we have three different UIs. In that, SnowSQL is one of the thing. So why we are making separately SnowSQL as a separate topic? Yes, we do require to explain the concept of stages. So that's the reason we how to install, configure, set up everything, and how to use that we will see. So this is a kind of black screen. So Unix, Linux kind of flavor will be there in the SnowSQL. So how to use that? Why we are not going with the other user UIs, and why we are going to the SnowSQL? We'll see. So the next topic is stages. So we have internal stages and external stages. So let's say you have files in your local and you want to upload that data into the Snowflake table. So then you can just create an internal, already some internal stages are there, and you can create your own user defined internal stage and upload the files there, and from there you can copy the data into the Snowflake table. External in the sense you have files in your cloud. So there, or from there you want to bring the files into your Snowflake tables. So that will become as a external stage. So to do these activities, we do require put command and get command. That will only work with the SnowSQL, not with the UI of Snowsight and Classic Console. So that's the reason we are going and seeing detail, like how to install SnowSQL, how to use everything. We'll see here in the stages. And again, internal stages. How many types of internal stages are there? User, table, named. External stages. How to create external stages. Everything we'll see in this class. And the next topic is like maybe from here onwards 2 to 3 topics are related with the cloud. So as Snowflake is a cloud hosted, we have to select any one of the clouds. So here for Snowflake, the Microsoft Azure will provide support, and AWS, GCP, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform. So these are the three clouds which will support Snowflake hosting. So in our training module, I will explain completely everything with Snowflake with Microsoft Azure. So how to take the Azure self registration. Again, there also trial account we can take. So how we will do that, I'll show you. And few topics are combined, like for Snowflake, few things it needs to be a companion of Azure and Snowflake. So that how we will do the data loading which are available in the Azure into the Snowflake, that I'll show with the help of the external stages. So that topic things we will discuss in the loading data from Azure. And continuous data load. So Snowflake, many of the people might have heard Snowpipe. So what is that? Snowpipe is an object which is available in the Snowflake, which is used to load the continuous data which is coming from the cloud files, whatever the files available in the cloud. If we do have a continuous set of data coming, it's a frequency of 1 minute or 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 1 second, even 1 second, how to handle all the traffic and load the data into the Snowflake table, we will use this Snowpipe. So we'll see in detail. We have 13 to 14 steps which are needs to be set up at Azure and Snowflake level. So we'll set up everything and we'll see how the data gets populated into the Snowflake table automatically without any intervention, manual intervention. How it loads the data, we'll see in detail in the continuous data load class. And again, external table. So in Snowflake we have a concept of external table that is created in Snowflake but managed by cloud. So with the help of cloud information, if we do have any files in the cloud, that files will be picked and loaded into the Snowflake table. So again, the same thing we are doing through the Snowpipe, right? What is the difference between external table? So external table is the one, as I mentioned, created in Snowflake but managed by cloud. We will not, we cannot do any DML operations on the external table. But whatever the data loaded in the Snowpipe table, that we can do DML operations. So based on your requirement, we can select the either Snowpipe or external table concept. And stored procedures. So anywhere in SQL or in data warehouse, we do have stored procedure, but here the benefit is like the same concept. Stored procedure, if you want to run multiple queries at a time or parallelly one by one, then you'll go for the stored procedure. But the thing is, in Snowflake, whoever to give a flexibility, what happened, we can write stored procedure in multiple languages. Let's say you are from a Scala background, have a big data, all these related things. So you cannot directly come and write in the JavaScript or SQL language. So you have a flexibility to write your stored procedure in a Scala language. So similarly, like that, you can write your stored procedure in SQL language, JavaScript, Java, Scala, and Python. So all these five languages can be used and write your stored procedure. But most of the people will write the stored procedure with SQL and JavaScript. So we'll see in detail in our training module, we'll see in detail how to write a stored procedure with JavaScript and also how to write a stored procedure with SQL with the execution and some failure scenarios. We'll just incorporate the negative scenarios and we'll see how that will work for the negative scenario that we'll see in our stored procedures class. And UDFs, user defined functions. So here, Snowflake have many inbuilt functions already. If you don't, I mean, if your requirement is not sufficing with the built-in functions, you can create your own user defined functions and you can use that in anywhere of your query. So again, here also we can write UDFs with five languages: SQL, JavaScript, Java, Python, and Scala. Based on your requirement, on your comfortable, you can write your UDF also. Next, Snowflake stream objects. So these are the unique object which is available in Snowflake. So nothing but stream, it will capture the CDC data, change data capture. So whenever on your table any changes happening, that means DML changes, like insert is happening or update is happening, delete is happening on the table, and you want to capture that information, then it's a very simple process. Usually we have to write many big queries and identify when it is happening, update or any deletion is happening. But on your table, if you just create a stream, it will take care of, it will capture whatever the deletes happened on a table, it will capture whatever the new inserts happened on a table, everything will be captured by the stream object. So it's a very flexible and creation and manage everything is easy. So we'll see how the stream works and how many types of streams are there, on which objects we can create streams, everything we'll see in the streams concept. And task objects. So here this particular task is a support purpose, production support purpose. So in the production support, what we will do, we will schedule all our jobs or whatever stored procedures, everything whatever you want to schedule, that can be done through this task objects. So this task object have two different flavors, cron mechanism or non-cron mechanism, and also predecessor dependency. So with the help of that information, we will schedule our objects through this task, and we can how to monitor everything we'll see in the task object. So this topic alone covers the production support activities. And information schema. So information schema is a kind of like metadata about each object which will be maintained by a Snowflake itself. I mean, auditing information will be maintained in the information schema. So that we will see how this information schema will be there, and what type of objects are there, how to use that information schema. Everything I'll explain in the information schema concept. Next, clustering. So here we have seen the micro partitions. Again, on the micro partitions, if you are facing like any data performance degradation, again we'll do clustering. That means sorting of the data in the micro partitions will be happen on some key, like any key, like maybe on primary key or any other key, whatever, based on your filter predicates, we will do clustering. So again, in this clustering, we can do a reclustering also. How we will do reclustering, what type of charges are available on the clustering, and is it recommendable to cluster on a small table or a big table, and how to measure the depth of the clustering table, what is clustering depth, everything we'll see in the clustering concepts class. And caching, so this is not a, I mean, special topic in Snowflake. It's normally in data warehouse we will have caching. So how many types of cachings are there, how it will be used for us to increase the performance of a query, that we will see in the caching. And also, all the queries, whoever ran the queries will have a history tab. There we'll see how to use the history, how to check the any conditions you want to check, or any query who has ran this, or with this particular user how many queries has been ran. So if you want to understand all these things, we have a history tab. So we'll see in detail how this query history tab will be available, and about the data profiling or query profiling, how many steps are there, what is the amount of data has been brought at first step, second step. So that we will see in detail in the caching and query history class. Next, ETL in Snowflake, in the sense, like with the help of project, I'll explain a project. So in this project, from scratch to end, how we will build, how we will use this Snowflake as a ETL, and streaming, we know how to schedule a task. Everything we'll see from the, I mean, when I explain a project from scratch, from building from the first layer to last layer, final layer, to the reporting team, whatever we are giving the data, everything I'll explain. So this here we can see the same information, like whatever we are doing through streams and tasks, but it's for a project purpose. Next, whatever we do, we need to monitor, like we need to monitor how much consumption of compute resources has happened, like for each category and for each database and for each warehouse we have to see. So the monitoring and how billing is happened, everything we'll see in the monitoring and billing class. Data replication, so we have a concept called data sharing, so that we will do with the vendors, external or internal. So this again, one more concept called database replication is there. So there we have some limitations, we can do data sharing in the same region, same cloud, same edition, but here the database replication can be done in the cross cloud, cross region. What is cross? Same. So we, our Snowflake can be hosted in any one of the cloud, Azure, AWS, GCP. Let's say I am in Azure, I want to host or I want to share my data to the AWS cloud. That also can be done with the help of database replication. So that we will see how to create database replication object, and how we will share, and how to import at the secondary user, how we will do, everything we'll see in the database replication concept. And Snowflake Snowsite, earlier, like I have explained in the classic console, because at that time classic console is not decommissioned. So that's the reason Snowflake Snowsite is a separate topic, but for us, everything we will discuss in the Snowflake Snowsite, so it's not a topic for us. And whatever the project I am going to explain, that project will be getting the data from the ETL tool. So that data will be loaded into the Snowflake table, and all the transformations applied on the data, then a final data will be given to the reporting team. So here it's a Power BI. So I'll explain how the data gets from the transactional systems, any SQL, Oracle, from that databases to Snowflake through ETL tool, let's say Talent, Fivetran, or some ADF, anything on that day, whatever flexibility. From any ETL tool, the data loads into the Snowflake table. That concept I'll show you, because that is an add-on. It is not required to Snowflake. But the thing is, you will get a clarity. Okay, I am, after explaining the project, you will get a clarity. Okay, I am getting the transactional data from SQL system, and that will be loaded into the Snowflake through ETL tool. So that part I'll explain. Then once after doing all the transformations, you need to give that data to the reporting team. So I'll show you how Power BI connection needs to be set up and how to import the objects from Snowflake to Power BI. I'll show you, but not in detail how to make graphs. Everything I'll not show you. Just Snowflake part, how you are importing your Snowflake data into Power BI and how to see that data. That alone we'll see, so that you'll have some clarity what is your downstream and upstream for your Snowflake. You can have some clarity on that. So this is the complete training module which we are going to discuss. If any in between, like we have some sub topics called data masking, resource monitor. So resource monitor in the sense setting alerts, like you have crossed this much limit. If you want to suspend your warehouse or not, that you can do with the resource monitors. That I haven't added, but we will discuss that topics also. So this is about complete class or course content of Snowflake. So any doubts or any information is required?
Yeah.
This is Jagdish. Hi. Actually, how much
Hi.
Python required in this? Most of the in the market, most of the time I can see Snowflake, Python. That is the combination they used to ask. Right. So how much Python required for this?
Whatever the things we are going to discuss, like Python is not at all required, Jagdish, but few projects are there where Python, I mean, everything we are migrating from Python to Snowflake. There we do require, for that we have a Snow Park as a separate concept that is not included in our training module.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Deepak this side. I'm having
Yeah,
question like, what is the how much are the opportunities in market for Snowflake for the guy like I am production support guy.
uh-huh,
I don't work on a development language. I don't work on.
uh-huh.
So I have knowledge of that, and I am having experience of more than 10 years. So like if I switch to the Snowflake profile, how much opportunities are there? Okay, this is one thing. And also like I have seen some couple of opportunities in my company, but they ask for the other tools also, like Tableau also with this in addition of Snowflake. So like this other data science tool also is combination of other tools that gives more opportunity, or what is the case actually, if you can just give the detail.
Yeah, for the first question, like how many opportunities? Yes, we do have a very vast opportunities are there for Snowflake, because based on the flexibilities, whoever know basic SQL also they can handle Snowflake very easily. So people are
Hmm.
migrating from traditional data warehouses to Snowflake data warehouse. So we have a plenty of opportunities. And for your second question, see, again it depends on the experience. You are saying you have 10 plus years of experience. So at that time it's mandatory you have like one data warehousing technology plus ETL tool, let's say Talent, Informatica, or Fivetran, or ADF, anything, or otherwise with a combination of Snowflake plus reporting tool like Tableau, Power BI, or ClickSense, like this. So it's again based on the experience. For 4 years, guy, no one expects like a Snowflake plus Tableau. For 10 years, they'll expect.
Okay. And like for Snowflake, like how much old it has been in the market, like how much experience they expect for the Snowflake developer, 1 or 2
Okay,
years or four
so
years?
no, no. It's there. Snowflake is there from 2012. It's almost 10 years. Okay, but
Okay.
it came into the market. I mean, it is there from 2012, but it has got some name or fame from last 5 to 6 years. So let's say you have 10 years of experience. You can easily say from 4 to 5 years of Snowflake experience, and the rest you can keep anything and you can go into the market.
Okay.
Hi, this is Sairam. I have one question.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned Snowflake is available in Google, Azure, and Amazon Web
Mm,
Services, right? Particularly, you
mm,
are discussing in this concept. You are discussing about the Azure. So, can you
yes.
know what is the difference between these things and why you are not going with AWS? Because AWS, I'm hearing that AWS is having very good opportunities. So,
See,
can you know why you are
that's
going with
not
Azure and not with AWS?
okay. So first of all, why I am going, that will just keep ahead. But Snowflake perspective, why we do have three different clouds. Okay, it's again based on the requirement and flexibility. Okay, in some regions, let's say if I am using Microsoft Azure and I am in a some X region like a Europe somewhere, I don't have a nearby cloud. Then at the time I'll go to the option of AWS. So let's say AWS is having a region wise cloud. Again, all the clouds are having region wise. Let's say my region is not listed in the Microsoft Azure, then I'll go to the AWS. From there I host my Snowflake into the AWS. Let's say in the AWS also that region is not there, my region is not there, then I'll go to the GCP. Again, here from cloud to cloud we have a charges also, so charges also vary. So based on that, like based on our budget and region, like whatever nearby region or nearby cloud, which edition we want to go, we are going to this is the first thing. And the second thing, your downstream, whatever the data coming from the transactional systems, so is it flexible if we host in the AWS or if it is in Azure or if it is in GCP? Based on that strategy, we'll go for the clouds. So this is the difference, like difference wise nothing. All the things like stovepipe, external table, external stages, everything can be done at all the clouds. But the thing is, according to the project usage requirement, we will go to the cloud. And secondly, why I am going to Microsoft Azure, not AWS, because many people are using with the Microsoft Azure. So I am just explaining. If we just go through the concepts with the Azure, it will be very easy. It will be similar, but the thing is, AWS. I mean, in the Azure, we will call it as a container. In the AWS, we'll call it as a S3 bucket. So it's the difference will be the naming terminology, but the process wise, setup wise, everything whatever we are doing through Azure, it will be similar with the AWS and GCP. So let's say if you are, I mean, if you want to understand about AWS and GCP also, I'll just provide the documents like
Lahari, we are not able to hear you.
Lahari, your voice is fading. We couldn't hear you.
uh, from okay. So I'm saying the first part is clear, right? Why we Snowflake in three clouds.
Yeah, first part is clear.
Second part, why I am going to Microsoft Azure means, so if we learn Microsoft Azure, setting up the things, then it will be easy for going with the other technology, other clouds, AWS or GCP. I'm saying practically, I'll show you how to set up everything with the Microsoft Azure, and I'll provide the documentation. The same steps with the AWS and cloud, I'll provide the documentation how to do in the AWS and GCP, but not practically, because it will become a training module, a very lengthy one, right?
Lahari,
Okay.
I have one question. So, as a layman
Hmm,
person, so whatever
hmm,
the conceptual knowledge you are teaching with this
hmm,
out of in the
hmm,
Snowflake about the Snowflake,
hmm,
so
hmm.
uh, uh, is it possible for a new or a guy to get the job in the Snowflake based upon this knowledge, whatever you are going to teach us?
Obviously, exactly. So the only concern is you have to do a practice. Not only listening will not work. You have to do practice, then only you'll get our doubts. And even a layman person, I am saying, right, there are no prerequisites for learning Snowflake, and it is very user friendly, everything. And I am saying one more fact here. So if you want to create a stream and you don't know what is your syntax, then through UI you can create a stream, and from there you can get the SQL code. So that will become that much flexible the Snowflake is. But the thing is, you want to understand why they have used the create statement there, or what is that statement exactly. You might not aware of the syntax, but at least you want to understand what is that exactly. So that you will get from the practice only. So absolutely, even without any knowledge, if you understand these classes, it will be very good for achieving a job.
Thank you. One more question here. Whatever the topics you
Hmm,
have presented over here in the sheet,
hmm.
so will you be showing on the UI based on the topics whatever you are explained here, or is it most of them are theoretical? I just want
No,
to
no, no,
understand.
no. Only first architecture, introduction, and history are the theory topics, 2 to 3 classes, and the rest all are the practical. Micro partitions, again, it's a theory. We don't have any practice for that. So only those topics are theory. Rest all are practical sessions only. First, we'll explain what is that. First, we'll explain what is task and how many types all this theory thing will do. Then immediately we'll do the practical sessions also, not only theory. Everything I'll show you in detail with the negative scenarios, not only positive scenario. I'll explain everything with the negative scenario also in our training module.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Lahari, I have a question.
Yeah.
Think that I want to export the data. Means you show me that communicating so I want to export the data, communicating to the Snowflake to one of my on-premising tool, for example, Microsoft SQL Server.
Mhm.
So is that included in the session? How that will be doing? We are doing which tool we will use?
See, exporting the data into the cloud, I can show you, or into the local desktop, I can show you. But on premises, it's required again ETL tool that is not covered
Yeah.
in this module.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Sounds good.
Okay.
Do we need a PHP in this?
Nothing. No.
Okay.
Only SQL. Okay. So if we know SQL, better. Otherwise, we will cover anyway those topics in our training module. Only SQL. Azure also you don't require anything because I'll teach from scratch onwards. So you don't require anything.
Yeah, hi Larry. So,
Yeah.
what are the major difference between the Snowflake and Redshift, and what is the major advantage of learning Snowflake other than Redshift?
See, that we cannot say. If your organization is completely maintaining through Azure, then you can go for the Redshift. But yes, we do have a flexibility. So there also we can set up this virtual warehouse. The elasticity of the data is huge, even in Redshift and Snowflake. And the unique features which are not available in the Redshift are available in the Snowflake. One is data cloning, zero copy cloning, and the time travel feature is not there, fail safe is not there, streams concept is not there, task is not there. So these type of features which are not available in Redshift are available in Snowflake. So that's the reason it's a one packed thing. Like you can handle any type of things through Snowflake, but for Redshift, if you want to perform a schedule, then again you have to use the triggering mechanisms through ADF. But here everything is a packed one. So that's the reason people are more I mean attracted to Snowflake, and it can access the data from any cloud, right? AWS, GCP, apart from the Azure only. So that's the reason we are going to Snowflake.
And what are the exact role like in the market? Like uh, the jobs are opening for only developer or admin. Like you said, like
No.
after learning this particular course, we will be able to handle
Hmm.
developer and admin, right? So we will be doing
Yes,
all the
exactly.
three works, or there will be any independent roles.
Okay, so it's again depend on the experience. Okay, so if it is like 4 years or 5 years experience, and first before I'll tell you, Snowflake admin or DBA kind of roles are very less. Only very few roles will be there, but most of the things are Snowflake developer and Snowflake architect. So if you are having highly experience like 10, 12, 13 years or experience, more than 10 or 8, then you'll be considered as a Snowflake architect. And again, like architect roles and responsibilities will be there. But when you come like before 8 years, then it will be a Snowflake developer role only. If you have like Snowflake admin also, it will be suitable for you. There is no big thing like where other DBAs will handle, we will not handle. Same role hierarchy, same performance tuning, same virtual warehouses, everything we will see, right? So you can handle Snowflake admin role also. So Snowflake developer in the sense you need to be liable to do development activities, to do DBA activities, and also you need to work on the tasks, scheduling things and monitoring things also needs to be done with you as a one single role Snowflake developer.
So here, like that, we will be keeping the data only in cloud and Snowflake database, right? So we won't use any
Hmm.
other databases like Oracle, SQL, MongoDB, and etc. So we won't be getting data from those
No,
particular
if you
databases.
want no, if you want to get the data from any other transaction like MongoDB or Oracle, then you can get that to the Snowflake through ETL tool. You can maintain that data also, there is no issue. But Snowflake doesn't have a flexibility to directly connect to MongoDB and get the information.
So Snowflake architect job is easy or Snowflake developer job is easy when compared both the things.
Uh, See that we cannot say architect in the sense like not mainly involved in the development activities, majorly like how to set up the data, like based on the data tables needs to be maintained, what is the source of contact, which ETL tool, that designing of the data warehouse we can say architect role. But nowadays even Snowflake architect also needs to work on the development activities. So again it's based on the experience, it matters, not like a developer role is easy or architect role is easy.
My what I'm thinking to ask is if we don't
Hmm.
know the development, can we work in the architect? Like that, I want to.
No,
We
if you
need to know
don't
both
have
the
any.
roles.
Okay, if you don't have any prior experience or knowledge about Snowflake, it will be very tough to handle the Snowflake architect role. Okay, so at least you have not a practical, I mean, not a project experience. At least you want to understand what is stream, where we can implement this stream, or how, what is the size of virtual warehouse I need to create for this project or for this type of data. How many warehouses needs to be created, so that knowledge you do require. So first of all you want to understand the each object usage, then only you can implement that in your project, right? So I'm not saying you do must and should you do require a project experience, but you want to know each and every object usage, then only you can say okay, here in this point you can just use what data cloning, or this much amount, 60 days only we can give the time travel feature. So that type of implementations you will do only if you know the topic.
Okay, so if we have 10 years of experience other than Snowflake, and
Hmm.
after attending this class, if you want to go means it's a Snowflake architect is a little difficult job. Snowflake developer is a better choice if we don't have prior Snowflake experience, even though we have 10 years of
Okay.
experience.
Okay, let's say you have 10 years experience, what on what technology, any data warehousing technology earlier in this
No,
10
it's a
years?
SQL, only on SQL.
Okay, see, but
Actually,
you can.
it's a product-based company. Backend is SQL. We used to load the data through. We have a separate ETL tool is there. Our own ETL tool. By using that, we will load the data, transform. We will
I
do store
I hope.
procedures. Everything we will do it from the SQL.
Okay, then you already have a knowledge, right? SQL you do have. So you can, I mean, after attending these classes, you can do just your own project and, I mean, internally, personally, and you can go for the architect role because you have already experience about stored procedure views, ETL loading, everything, right? So you can just judge the thing and do go for a architect role, not required mandatorily for a developer role. Let's say you have a 10 years of experience but not at all on the SQL or data warehousing background, then it will be challenging for them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Lahari. So,
Yeah, hi.
my question is more around certification. I know for tools like this, we need to, I mean, it would be always a better thing to have a certification in hand before we go ahead and market ourselves as a, Snowflake
Mm,
developer or as a beginner, right? So,
yeah.
by going through this entire training, can we be able to complete that certification? Or what are your suggestions on that?
See, I can say, I mean, true. Honestly, I'm saying we cannot achieve through this training complete certification. Okay, first certification, each and every topic you need to go in depth. Then only you'll understand. So 70% it will help you, and rest of the 20% your practice will help you. 10% like dumps or some mock tests will be there, right? That will help you. So basically, I want to say when you are doing practice you will get in detail, I mean, doubts or anything, then you will search for that topic, right? So at that time you will get some extra information. But with this complete training, I cannot say like 100% you will be achieving certification.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And once the training is completed, or when we are in the training, if we are stuck and we need any support from you, can we reach out to you, or how does that usually work?
Yeah, once like everything is finalized, we'll set up the WhatsApp chat. So from there, you can contact me and clarify your doubts. There is no issue. In between or after the training, also, there is no issue.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
Lahari, can you please introduce yourself? I mean, how much experience you have with this Snowflake, and are you
Oh,
working in
sorry.
any real time?
Sorry. Okay, okay, sorry. Actually, I have to do at the first step, but it became late, so I was rushed into the training. Okay, so myself, Lahari, I do have 9 years of total IT experience. In that, around nearing to 7, I have Snowflake experience. So I'm working in a MNC, and yeah, I have handled almost 4 to 5 projects on Snowflake. Thanks for reminding.
Hi, Lahari.
Yeah, hi.
What about freshers? Is there any opportunity for them?
Freshers, it will be very rare, I can say, but it's like if you are very too good at SQL and Snowflake, you might get chances. There is no issue. But mostly, like people will ask at least minimum of 3 years of experience in Snowflake.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Like even it's a basic doubt or basic clarification, let's go ahead. No problem. Like uh, all might not come from the same SQL or data warehousing background. So let's go ahead. If you have any doubts, there is no issue.
So, Lahari, is it mandatory to have the knowledge of ETL transformation, loading, and the extraction things to learn this or to get the opportunity along with the Snowflake?
Not required, Abhi. No, not mandatory. But one case is there where you have 15 years or 10 plus years of experience, but alone you cannot go with Snowflake. People also will not expect you to work on a single technology. So at that time it's better you have, if you have ETL or any
Okay.
reporting combo.
So one more question. So mainly, where exactly do they use this Snowflake compared to the, for example, consider IBM DB2 versus
Hmm,
Snowflake. So
hmm,
what
hmm.
is that exactly that is making the difference in the market with this Snowflake?
Okay. So as I mentioned, Snowflake, I think for in the first step itself, you already told Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse. So data warehouse on database. So whatever DB2 or SQL, it's a database. We can store a small amount of data. That means like a transactional data. But in Snowflake, we have a provision to store some TBs and petabytes of data, and we can retrieve the data very fastly. Like whatever the query you are trying to retrieve on a historical data, like having some huge data, then from there also you'll get the fast answers. So it's purely Snowflake is used for analytical data warehouse, like to perform your some forecasting or plan generation, some AI tools. So for all these use cases, Snowflake will be used. Whatever IBM DB2, you can store a small amount of data, like maybe a day data or 2 days or a month of data, but you cannot store years and years of data.
Okay. Okay. So do you also explain the retention data related information in this?
You mean to say
Sorry.
time travel data retention,
Yeah.
time travel data,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Retention
everything. We
period
have a
mean to say, yeah,
separate.
chronology. Yeah. Yeah. Please. Thank you.
That means like first how to apply the retention period on an object and how to retrieve. How we
Yes.
have three
Yes.
methods. So I'll explain three methods in detail how to retrieve the data.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Larry, apart from the course you covered, what will be the added advantages like if we
Mhm.
learn any other tools or we are having knowledge on?
Maybe go for any ETL tool or any reporting tool.
Okay, like Power BI.
Power BI, Tableau.
Okay.
And coming to the ETL tool, like anyway we are learning with Microsoft Azure, so you can learn ADF, Azure Data Factory.
Okay.
Okay, concluding, the training will be it's a 40 to 45 working days I do require. So it will mostly take 2 months of time to complete all the classes. And whenever sometimes to have a continuation topic, if you agree, we'll have it over weekends, like project, streams concept. These a continuation of 2 to 3 days or 2 hours are required. So that's the reason over weekend we can do. And project also, so, it takes almost 4 to 5 hours to completely explain from scratch to end. So that's the reason I'll prefer over weekend. If it is okay for all of us, then it's fine. Otherwise we'll have in a regular classes. So that's the reason I'm giving a cutoff of 40 to 45 working days I'm saying. If we take over weekend, it will reduce that 45 days. So a daily 1 hour class will be there.
So, Lahari, one more question. So,
Mhm.
this Snowflake is being used in, mean to say, I'm just asking you, in
Mhm.
which domain mainly they are using? Is it like particularly in banking or insurance, or which sector they are mainly using this Snowflake majorly?
Uh, Truthfully, in all the domains like retail, banking, healthcare, insurance, and even in the government security places, like where we have to have high security, like missiles information, all those kinds, there also we are using this Snowflake.
So, do we have the scaling and things also in this? Of course,
Obvious.
means they are using cloud. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. In virtual warehouses is the concept of the scaling.
Thank you.
So in that case, do we have any topic like security, like how the security is being maintained?
Exactly. We have a row level security and columnar level security. So row level security is covered with the topic of secure views, and for columnar security, we will go with the data masking. That I'll explain.
Daily on which time in classes will be there, no?
Uh, that we will confirm.
Oh, this is not the time for the class.
No, I mean that confirmation we will provide in shortly.
Okay, this is not the actual time that is going to be. Okay.
So when will you provide? Means tomorrow?
Can you just please contact Visualpath team so that they'll confirm on that? Which base, I mean, according to all the people flexibility, we will see on that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, when I asked them, they said 7 to 8 or 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning.
Mostly, yeah, mostly the same timings.
Then it's a weekdays or 7:30 to 8. Then you told we have to be on weekends also sometimes 2 hour class. So then when at what time it would be
Yeah,
weekends?
weekends also will start from 7 to 9, the same morning timings only. See, that
Okay.
weekends is not a mandatory thing. Everyone, if everyone is available, then we will take on those weekends. Otherwise, we'll not.
Thank you, Lahari.
Yeah, thanks. Any others have?
You told before we should write means we can write in SQL, Python,
Hmm.
JavaScript, all those things. But to
Uh-uh.
some of our clients, if they want only a SQL, and some of the clients only do Java, means
Hmm.
JavaScript, and some of the
Hmm.
clients only do Python, means at that time we have to learn all these, all
Uh, See, that we cannot
because
predict, right?
all the things one of the client can't have, right? Because at that time we
Obviously.
have to learn all these things. Then
Yes, we have to learn. What my point is, like, if you learn at least two different languages, then the other languages learning is not much difficult. Let's say we know already like how to write stored procedure with SQL and also JavaScript. So a small change. See again here JavaScript, Java. Should we learn these technologies? It's not at all required. A basic JavaScript, like whatever I am giving, you can edit your things also with that procedure. So a basic thing is required. And why I'm not explaining Python or Scala, because everyone are migrating from that technologies, big data to Snowflake. Then at that time they are also not preferring to write in the Scala language, because they are migrating their data, and why they are want the previous versions of language itself. So they are also going with the JavaScript and SQL language. So that's the reason most of the
means
people like 80.
yeah, my doubt is means some of the clients means direct means like government clients will be because they used to have only the like SVNs, VPNs, all the backend technologies. So
Hmm.
at that time we need to have these all things.
Obviously, Kishore. See, let's say in my case itself, my first project is on the JavaScript, and my second and third projects on the SQL language. So I have written my stored procedures in both the language. I know like how to write both the language. So that's like if it is demanding, we have to learn. There is no option for us.
Okay.
Okay, guys. If we don't have anything, we'll just wind up our today's call, and we'll see in our regular classes.
I have one question. If you go on regular,
Okay.
if if you go on regular phase, then regular like 1 hour phase, like the total duration of the course takes, including weekend, 5 day week it is these classes. Am I correct?
5 days, yes.
Then total duration of the course, how much it takes, including holidays, what the total
2 months.
duration?
2 months.
Huh?
2 months. I need 40 to 45 hours, okay, working hours. If you say like including holidays, everything, it will mostly in 2 months.